The music scene kind of fizzled out. I ended up getting a marketing degree from a university there, and quit my job and came back to California about 10 years ago. So, and fast forward, I needed a way to, feel inspired again, and the economy had tanked. As many people have heard me talk about that a lot on my show.
Yeah, I remember when that happened.
Wow.
It was bad news.
And I think the day that it actually officially did happen is the day I was actually back in California.
Oh, really?
Yeah, December 5th, 2007.
So you're saying it was your fault?
I guess so. But I thought, I needed some inspiration. And I think being a media ambassador, in the past, and then I got involved in the media team of Occupy Los Angeles.
Oh,
but around that time, I started writing a book because I'd been playing around with the character Nowman from my rock theater group of characters, and I thought, superhero of the present moment. That I like that vibe of that character. I just haven't done anything with it, really.
Yeah.
So I started saying, I'll start just writing something like it's a journal, right? So I literally started writing one day at a time, like even just a little bit, and just kind of spontaneously, until I felt like I got at least 366 things.
Little entries,
and I think there's actually more than that, but and it just as what was going on in my life at that time, through how the character would perceive the world and what's going on.
Right.
And when Occupy happened, right, as I was starting that process, like months later, so I thought this is perfect because. Superheroes are all about changing the world and making it a better place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's perfect. You know what I mean? Because I can incorporate, this whole in real time what's going on with what I'm doing with Occupy.
Yeah, the stuff that's happening around you every day.
Yeah, because I was down there at Occupy probably 30-some days.
Oh, wow.
Anywhere from like 2 hours to 10 hours a day, right? So I was really involved in a lot of stuff. I was even one of the primary organizers of Occupy the Rose Parade, which happened after the encampment phase.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that.
There's definitely a lot I could do a whole show about Occupy. There was a lot going on that people didn't hear about, folks.
Well, yeah, it was much more widespread than just America. I mean, the stuff was going on at various places around the world.
Oh yeah, I have friends at Occupy London now. I mean, it's just that's still friends with them, or one person anyway.
Yeah.
So it really helped establish a lot of relationships some that are ongoing to this day. So. So that inspired, I think, a lot of getting the book done. And then I finally got to a point where I said, okay, it's done. 2013, self-published it, and put it out there. And it's called The Universe According To Nowman. So my brother Jay Wander did all the artwork for all three of these things. Just incredible stuff. The album covers, book cover, and insert art. Just fantastic, being able to work with my very talented brother, who should be an internationally known artist, if you ask me.
No, it's definitely cool stuff. And
then it motivated me once I learned about this studio to come here and do a TV show, and I took a year to create the Nowman Show. Which just made sense. It just had a nice ring to it.
Yeah, you already had the infrastructure set up for it.
So, yeah, and I thought arts, entertainment, education, news.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about that transition from your wanderings around the world to landing here?
I'd been, like I say, I was back east when I was doing a lot of the professional music stuff, and I was ready to come back to California. I'd lived here before, in my 20s. I worked on film and stuff like that for a while, and and I wanted to find a way to motivate myself to get back into the creative process again, because there was an economic downturn, and I thought, well, maybe music's not the way to go. So
Enter Nowman.
Enter Nowman. I said, Nowman, that's perfect. I created and DJ'd the internet radio show, the Nowman Show, Deep Cuts and More on Kill Radio from 2014 to 2016. And while that was going on, someone suggested to me, actually a former co-producer, why don't you try cable access television? And I thought, what a great idea.
Nowman on television in a bigger way.
Okay.
So that's when I started developing the idea. And even with all the work that I'd already done, it still took a year before I really had what I wanted.
Well, let's take a look at the clip, then I want to come back and talk to you a little bit more about some of that. We have a clip of the Nowman Show with Dan Nowman Niswander. Let's take a look.
I like to watch the Nowman Show because it is better than the best show on all of TV.
And that's what we've been suffering from, pretended patriotism. They use patriotism to lie us into a war in Iraq. They use patriotism to do drone attacks on children. They use patriotism to demonize Putin or anybody in the country who won't go snap to our fingers. They have used the war on terror to gain a degree of power and observation over the American people that no dictator ever had.
Unconditional guaranteed income for everyone.
Oh, not a bad idea, actually. I'm all for that. That's not, I've heard people talk about that, like the philosophers like Alan Watts.
Yeah.
He said something interesting. He said, you know, money isn't wealth, it just measures wealth, right? So when the stock market crashes, we still have the same wealth in America. There's just an accounting problem. He said that's like showing, you know, if you show up at the bank and they go, we're out of money, we'll print more. He goes, it's just like showing up at a construction site and saying, hey, we were out of inches. What? What do you mean you're out of, they just measure what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not what you're doing.
Baila conmigo este sol. A timbalera, esta la comida del sol. A timbalera, baila conmigo este sol. A timbalera, esta la comida del sol. Esta la comida del sol. El horizonte se va a aclarar y todo el mundo quiere bailar. Pues la comida del sol.
The wind will change, the water main will break, risks happen, and so you got to kind of always be trying to get more surplus, more profits, because the more you have, the safer you are to face any eventuality. It's built into the system that the capitalist's anxiety about keeping his or her hands on that surplus means you got to use the surplus to build your company to get more surplus and therefore become safer. And so the system has built into it not just the need to get as much surplus as possible, but to grow the enterprise, to build it out. Because if you don't, you risk collapse, disaster.
This is Niswander, and you're watching the Nowman Show. And today I'm here with David Bowie's piano man, Mike Garson. Hello, it's great to see you again.
Likewise.
This is fantastic. So a lot has happened, actually, since we were last in this room together. The David Bowie celebration concert I attended at the Wiltern.
Sting was kind of a wild highlight both nights. He was supposed to come just one night. He liked it so much he came back. And he sang, I think, Lazarus, right?
And he did Black Star.
Anyone who has the real jazz sensibility tends to like to create in the moment.
And you are obviously a medical doctor. What is the best way going forward to get a single payer in this country? Most countries have that, and we need it too.
Exactly. We need it, and we can afford it, in fact, because it doesn't cost any more than what we are paying right now. It simply ensures that our healthcare dollars are paying for healthcare, not for health profiteering. We need a healthcare system that is established for people, not for making profit. So again, this is all a matter of achieving critical mass. We need to come together as the many movements we are for health justice, for climate justice, for racial and economic and LGBT justice, and women's justice. When we get together with the courage of our convictions, we're unstoppable.
That's a pretty eclectic blend of content that you have right there.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, just that, it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Tell me how you got to LA, you've transitioned your character into the show, and you say Nowman is a superhero, but the content you're doing, this is not like typical superhero type stuff. You're dealing with some pretty heavy content. You got some pretty heavy hitters as far as guests are concerned and whatnot. How does all of that work?
Well, it's like, again, it's a work in progress. Like, it's, part of living in the moment. I mean, to be honest, it's a way of life for me. I discovered that kind of by accident. You know, it's like the more I live in the moment, the freer I feel to just be spontaneous, right? Like I'm right now, you know, and that's where the show.
Yeah, it's pretty spontaneous.
Yeah,
I'm feeling this.
I mean, it's like songwriting, you know. My experience with songwriting is just a very spontaneous thing, you know, and same thing with Nowman, which, by the way, that theme song, Fun to the Nth Degree, is basically Nowman's
with
theme
the person
song.
random screaming. What is it? Is he saying now? What is he saying right there?
Well, he says fun, love, and living.
Okay.
So the chorus is, you know, fun to the nth degree, love to the nth degree, living to the nth degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and so that's the theme song of Nowman, and I said, why not use it as a theme song of a TV show too? So,
and you put together a pretty good team of people, not only outside of here, but here at Pasadena Media. You have a pretty strong core of people that you've come together with, and you guys all work on each other's shows.
The mindset is cooperation and relationship based, and that's always been really, really important to me. Even when I played in bands. You know, did any kind of production in the studio, recording music, it's always been about relationships and cooperating, but also develop relationships even with you guys. You know what I mean? Which is actually really special to me.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
The Nowman Show is a cultural magazine variety show focusing on arts, entertainment, education, news, and also politics in the 21st century. As a variety show, it features interviews with household names in the music, film, and television industries, including Academy, Emmy, Grammy, and other award-winning artists, directors, and producers, such as actors Ed Asner, Mary Tyler Moore Show, Mike Farrell from MASH, DJ and musician Moby, David Bowie's Piano Man, Mike Garson, producer Robert Margoloff, produced Stevie Wonder and Devo, director Morgan Neville, who won the Academy Award for 20 Feet from Stardom, and so much more. There are live performances from artists such as psychedelic cumbia punk band The Commons, and jazz band TLQ featuring Trevor Lawrence and pop star Masumi, as well as interviews with comedians Anthony Atamuk, who's Donald Trump of The President's Show on Comedy Central, John Fugelsang, Hal Sparks, and Jimmy Dore. In addition to interviews, there are also conversations and panel discussions with scientists, university educators, award-winning authors, podcasters, radio show hosts, entrepreneurs, other filmmakers, leaders in politics and activism, such as presidential candidates Dennis Kucinich and Jill Stein, journalists Robert Scheer of Truthdig and Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, economist and professor Richard Wolff, and conservative political analyst Ann Coulter. The show also features coverage of events with a broad range of topics, from political conventions to environmental expos, film festivals, and other community events. There are specials outside of the regular format that focus on specific subject matter, such as sustainability and the environment, worker cooperatives, economics, history, and politics. I always love the live experience.
In the 2020s, the global pandemic was a part of everyone's story. And in March of 2020, just 2 weeks before the lockdowns were announced, I walked through those doors right there and was on the stage of a national television show. When it finally did broadcast, it was in May and then rebroadcast in July. The final edit on television included my message to the world. I think that message is still true now.
I believe that it's a critical time in our history right now to bring people together, and I think what better way to do it than with music?
All right, Mr. Nowman.
Niswander, music on Apple iTunes and other aggregates. Albums Revolution of the Heart and Adventures in Wonderland. There's also the television show The Nowman Show, which is a cultural magazine variety show focusing on arts, entertainment, education, and news on YouTube, as well as Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and other aggregates. And if you'd like to read, the book, The Universe According To Nowman, is available. And on iTunes, a brand new music single, Compassion Live, available now.
First of all, to kind of describe their sound.
Well, I started calling it rocktronica when I first started doing the solo act, but it kind of evolves over time. You know, I'm one of those never-ending, changing people, so reinventing myself.
Ooh, we've heard that.
Yeah, you've heard that.
We've heard that you're, some people say, a little crazy, very entertaining, not sure the exact word to describe you. How do you describe yourself?
That sounds pretty close.
I also had a home movie hobby when I was a teenager, and my brother and I borrowed, a regular 8 camera from someone, and we made mostly experimental types of films, but we did experiment even with special effects, even though they were primitive. We had to express ourselves visually as well as with music as we had done, and we made a movie for a haunted house that our church youth group did for a couple of years. And then we also made a movie about the life of Jesus with the youth group. And that was very interesting. And I got a Super 8 camera as a graduation present from high school. And when I lived in California, a friend from Ice Capades sold us his VHS video camera. So we got video for the first time, and it was one of those huge things, a huge camera with a big tripod and VHS tape. And most of what we did with that was kind of experimental film ideas, but it was another way to start, exploring our creativity in a different way than music. And eventually, when I was in Indiana, I got other formats, high 8 tape, and then a DV mini tape to make some recordings. And of course, now, I use the MP4, which is the digital files. So it's interesting. I've gone through all those formats as I had with, audio going from, reel-to-reel and cassette tapes, to ADAT and Pro Tools and whatever is next. YouTube went online in 2005. I created the Niswander YouTube channel in 2006 and made my first video with Buddy Shine in the Hollywood Hills. Because at the time even though I was in Indiana, I was still coming out to California on vacation every year, or almost every year, for a long period of time. And so I made some videos with my digital camera. In 2007, when I took a vacation to New York City, I went to a YouTube meetup, or YouTube gathering it was called, in Washington Square Park, near Greenwich Village in New York City. And there were probably at least 1,000 what we would now call content creators there in the park, intermingling, and social media influencers would be the terminology now that we would use. But that's really the beginning of it, was that community at that time. And there were some that I recognized, from watching YouTube videos online. And I did record some content with them, like Ian Crossland, who you now see on the Tim Pool podcast. Happy Slip, who is a stand-up comedian. And I did collaborate with Naltz, who did a lot of kind of silly, fun family content. So that was the beginning of what we now, call podcasts and content creators and things like that. And obviously it's evolved quite a bit over time. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the channel, and I made hundreds of videos since that time, before I started really posting more of my music and more music sort of subject videos, music videos and things like that. But that's where I started, long before the Nowman Show came along. And so when the Nowman Show came along in 2014, 2015, obviously there was going to be a video channel created, and that was the Nowman Show on the Arroyo channel, because Arroyo channel is the name of the cable access channel based out of Pasadena, where that was and still is produced. And in 2025, I'm in season 11, so still going, still creating content. And a lot of the older material is still very fresh, because I do think we need a new renaissance. I think we desperately need a new renaissance. I need to talk about this part of my California experience. I realized that there's a lot of stories to tell as an extra, and that's what most people call it, but background actor is the actual term, working in many television shows and movies, some that you've heard of, because I'll have more stories to tell in this particular segment. And the reason why background actor is more correct, because a couple of things, and I have had at least one opportunity to do what's called a silent bit, and I did get featured in shots with prominent scenes, with some of the stars. I guess I had a compassionate face or something, but also some people would get what's called tapped heart lead, and by getting a speaking line, and I don't know all the logistics of all that. That would happen sometimes too, and they would just start as a background actor. Anyway, the very first thing I did was in 1986, and it was a Michael Jackson Pepsi commercial, and we had to go to Will Rogers Beach and get on buses, and at first I thought it might have been a Mel Brooks film, the very first Spaceballs, because there was a sign there at the entrance to the parking lot that said Spaceballs parking here or something like that. And there were people getting on buses to shoot for that movie too, and I thought, oh, that's what we're going to work on, because they kept it kind of a secret. Well, we got on buses, we went to Culver Studios, and it was a Michael Jackson Pepsi commercial of him dancing. It was the Bad song. We got to hear it like a year before it was even officially released. We went back again after the holidays, because the original day was in the fall of 1986, but we went back after the holidays, I believe in January, February, to reshoot it. There must have been something they didn't like the first time around. Anyway, I also worked on a variety of different things back then. They also were made for TV movies and commercials and things like that. The commercial I worked on was Merrill Lynch. And again, this is a period of time from 1986 to like 1989. Mostly 1987 and 88. And the TV movies I worked on were, there was a Disney one. It was, I think, 13 going on 30 was the name of it, and I was a high school student and almost 30 years old. So that was interesting. I was the oldest student there, sitting at a desk in a classroom. And I can't remember who the stars were in that film. There was another one called In Self-Defense, which there were a couple of soap opera stars in that. Linda Pearl and another one I didn't know. My mother knows them. And then the villain in the film was actually known most for being a villain, the man in the white suit in Clint Eastwood's Untouchables movie, or I think that was the name of it. Billy something, I can't remember his last name. And I was a gang member. It was the first time I think I ever wore leather, and it was shot at it was a bar that was, I don't think it was still operational, maybe it was, but it was definitely what you call a dive bar. And Billy Drago, that was his name. And so I got to interact with him, and I remember after being fitted for the costume, walking out the parking lot, we were waiting for the shot to be set up so we could do the scene, and everybody else in the gang was standing around talking and said, "Oh, this guy looks like he could be the one in charge." And I thought that was interesting. Also, it was a TV movie shot at USC with Raquel Welch. I don't remember exactly what that was about, and also the actor that played the father on Family Ties with Michael J. Fox, I can't remember his name, but he was there. And I also worked on a movie called Happy Together at UCLA, playing a college student, and got to interact with Patrick Dempsey and Helen Slater a little bit. They were the stars of that film. And did get featured in shots in most of these things. I guess I must have had a compassionate face. One I do have to mention is also Beauty and the Beast television show. Life Goes On was the last one I did in 1989. I want to mention that. That was an interesting experience. Don't ask me about my encounter with Patti LuPone. Not really that interesting. But the Beauty and the Beast thing was amazing. I was called back quite a few times on that television show. And even the crew would sometimes say, "Nice to see you again," and they felt comfortable with me. I got to watch them work up close as well, including the prop people and the lighting and the sound, and even a person that made a fake mustache for the actor Roy Dotrice, who played the father character. Everybody was really nice to me.